Hello my dudes, this is Kadima with another build video for Lords of the Fallen. This time we decided to go for an Umbral build. So for an Umbral build, the things to keep in mind is that you should level up your Inferno and your Radiance and try to pair them up at the same level for the best possible damage output. Let's have a look at the build itself. So for strength, I'm keeping it as the character was created with 12 strength, 10 agility. Those have not been touched. The focus here, as I said, is Radiance and Inferno. Because I'm level 110, I have capped both of these at 40. If you are at higher levels, you can just adjust it. Vitality 35 and Endurance 26, just for the sake of using the weapons and allow me to attack enough times and block if needed. Also, because when you cast spells you use Endurance, and I do tend to cast quite a few spells in a row when I'm playing both PvP and PvE using this build. So ultimately, the focus here is the Radiance and Inferno, as I just said. Whatever you want to go, it should fit your own playstyle. Put more points in Endurance if you want, put more points in Vitality. It's entirely up to you. I didn't touch Strength or Agility, as I said. As for the equipment, I am using a funny weapon, dual-wielding fungus-encrusted pickaxes. They are both at +10, and they both have the runes, two of those that increase Radiant attribute scaling and Inferno attribute scaling, because as you can see, the weapons themselves scale A- with Radiance and Inferno. It's not the best scaling out there, but considering how fast the weapon hits and the fact that it does have 150 poison imbued damage, it's quite a funny weapon to use, and it's quite versatile. Keep in mind that the weapon damage, the weapon attack power in this case is 440 with the current stats, and this 440 comes from 122 physical plus 115 plus 203 from wither damage. For my casting catalyst, I'm using the Lost Beresco's catalyst. This is by far the best Umbral catalyst. It scales AA with Radiance and Inferno. You can't get a better catalyst for Umbral spells. This is the best. As for the armor, I go with a combination, as usual, the one I use for all my builds, of style and effectiveness. I like the hood, the Neophyte hood, the Sovereign Protector armor, Holy Bulwark gauntlets, Crimson Rector leggings. The reason for this choice, as I said in previous videos, is because these allow the highest physical and holy defense, and everybody in PvP is using holy most of the time, and some splash of physical damage as well. You will end up facing fire here and there, but not all the time. As for the accessories, for the pendant, I'm using the Hysteria pendant, which basically just increases spell power. Another good choice for this, if you want, would be the pendant of a trophy, which allows you to regain withered health by dealing damage, and allows you to cast Umbral sorceries when you have no mana, but you will take withered damage. You can then regain that wither health by dealing damage. So if you are casting spells and you are hitting targets with this pendant, you can continuously cast spells. You will take Umbral damage, wither damage, but as long as you hit the target, you will immediately recover that health. So it's a win-win situation. You won't lose anything. It just basically allows you to infinite cast, as long as you hit the targets and you don't get hit in the process, of course. As for my choice of the Hysteria pendant, it's mostly because for PvP, I don't really feel the need to infinitely cast spells. I can just use the large mana stones to recover mana, so I'll rather just go with increased spell power. I find it better for my build. But for PvE, that Pendant of Hysteria is a very good choice. For my rings, I'm using the Poisson's Root, as usual. It just increases the power of sorceries. And to make things a little bit different, I'm using the Barrage Root, which increases spell power. This increases about 20%, but it removes one spell slot. Now for Umbral spells, I find that it's more than enough to have 4. I end up using only 2 of them most of the time. I rarely use the other 2. So my main 2 spells are Latimer's Javelin and the Barrage of Echoes, which I will demonstrate what these does in case you are not familiar with these. I'm also using Martyrdom. This is useful in the sense that if your target is hiding behind a wall or there's an obstacle between you and the target, because this goes underground, it will eventually find the target if you are at the right distance. If you are too close, it's not going to work. If you are too far away, it's not going to work. But if you are at the right distance, this will be useful because it allows you to be under cover or to hit targets that are behind cover. Now, the diminishing missile, this basically just hits for very small damage. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but most importantly, it reduces the attack power and the defense of whatever you hit with it. So it's quite useful for PvP because it will dramatically increase your chances of survival, especially if you are in a 2 versus you situation. This can be quite useful. Now, the Barrage of Echoes and Latimer's Javelin, these are quite common spells. Everybody that uses Umbral builds uses this. So this will be the Javelin, which can be free aimed. You don't have to lock on the target, and I find that free aiming this can sometimes be quite useful, especially if you are at a long distance from the target. The amount of damage to expect with this build, as you can see, it's about 1245. As you can see, it does quite a nice amount of damage. For PvP, this is deadly. Most times I kill players with just 1 cast. If they survive, they normally tend to panic and try to heal, and if they're trying to heal, I just cast another one and it does the job. One thing to keep in mind is that it has a bit of a slow cast, so keep in mind that if you want to cast it a second time, you might want to do it straight away to catch the players off guard. As for PvE, you can just spam this. 99% of the time you'll just hit the targets. For PvP, it's quite easy to dodge, so it's not like it's impossible to dodge, but the splash damage can also be useful. As for the other spell I was talking about, which is the Barrage of Echoes, in case you are not familiar, what it does is that it throws these 5 Umbral eyes forward, and these are also quite useful when it comes to free casting without the lock on, because as I'm going to demonstrate on a small target here, like this guy, if I just get close and I cast it on the floor, this is what it does. Same thing here, I just cast it on the floor. The splash damage from the explosion, it's quite high, and it gets the job done. Ooh, I got hit. I think I'm about to be invaded, which is not a problem. But yeah, as you can see, that's how the spell works. It's quite useful, quite powerful. You don't have to buff anything. I mean, if you want to splash a little bit of extra poison on your build, you can easily swap one of these 2 spells if you want by using the poison weapon or the umbral weapon. I would recommend poison weapon. I did this myself for a while. I tested it. It just basically increases the speed to which you will poison your targets. It will not do more damage. You will do the same damage. The poison ticks will tick for the same amount of damage. It will just increase the speed to which you poison your targets, and that's basically it. As for how to use this build, as I showed, I tend to go with the javelins for PvE. They are quite strong, they get the job done, but for PvP the eyes are what shines the most. So I'm going to demonstrate here. I just cast this on the floor, and as you saw, it just one-shots it. As you notice, I removed the lock because I don't want to cast this towards the enemy, because if you cast this towards the enemy, only one, maybe two or three of the eyes will hit. As if you cast it on the floor, all 5 eyes will be in the same area and it will splash for a significant amount of damage. And that's the way to use this spell. I find that that's the best way to go for it. Unfortunately, because this is my main character, I don't have any bosses that I can fight to demonstrate how powerful this is for PvE. But I can demonstrate how it works in PvP in case you are interested, and that's what I'm about to do right now. Thank you for watching it this far. Now, as for the first invasion here, as you can see, I'm about to start with doing some free aiming attempts. As soon as I notice that the guys are inside that area where the vestige is, as you can see by the fire glowing from their weapon, I try to do some testing on how to free aim and try to shoot them from here. It's not always easy to find the right angle, especially the more far away you are, but as you can see, and you are about to see, after some adjusting, I finally managed to find where one of them was. Unfortunately, I'm not the best at free aiming, I'm still practicing, but as you see, when it hits, and it just one-shots people. Now, I did try one more time, but because of the invincibility period you get straight after going on Umbral, I missed. But here's the co-op guy getting one shot like this. It's that easy. This build is quite strong. I would say, so far, it's the one build that can compete with the holy damage. And yeah, that's how it works. Unfortunately, he got killed by the giant guy. But that free aim shot and the co-op kill, because he was rushing to try to help his friend, was just funny. Now, as for this one, again, power of free aiming. Once you start getting used to it, it becomes a bit easier, but you're not going to get it all the time. But the funny thing is that I actually just tried to say hello, and he attacked me straight away, which is something I normally don't do. I normally just attack it myself, but I was actually trying to be nice. He casted Orion's Judgment, which is fair. I decided, okay, in that case, let me try to play a trick on him. So I rolled onto this side, trying to get a free aim, and boom. There you go. Job done. Next time, be courteous and say hello. Now, as for these two guys, as I invade, I find that the co-op guy was right there, and I managed to free aim, one-shot him. I didn't realize the guy was right behind me, and I did cast the Umbral eyes in the wrong direction, but then I cast a second time onto the floor. One of them pierces through him. I didn't do a very good job at free aiming that one time. Again, I try to go with the javelin, I miss. As I explained in the build part of the video, it's quite easy to dodge, unless you free aim. If you free aim, sometimes they end up dodging towards the spell, but then the Umbral eyes cast on the floor gets the job done right in front of him, and that's it. GG. As for the next example, now this guy, it was actually a good fight, funny enough. Funny name, God. Quite creative. So it was actually a good fight, this one. I didn't realize where he was straight away, and then I look back and there he is. But funny enough, you can see the Umbral eyes cast on the floor did a bit of damage. My guess is that he has seen it before, because he did manage to dodge back, avoiding the rest of the damage. He manages to get one parry there, which is fine. He does land a couple of hits, because unfortunately this game doesn't allow you to roll backwards properly when you are locked onto your enemies. For whatever reason, he just quick steps, but he doesn't back roll. I've been complaining about this for a while, but doesn't seem to going to be fixed anytime soon. He gets another parry, so well done. But he is poisoned now, as you can see, the 16 damage per second. It's not a massive damage, which is a shame. I wish it was a bit more significant than this to make poison more attractive to use. It didn't have to be 100 damage per second, because that would be stupid. But if it would be something like 40 damage per second, that would be way more significant than 16. I think 16 is a bit too low, considering that it's a damage over time effect. Should be a little bit more than that, but okay, it's how the game is. It's just on the long run, that 16 points of damage per second is not really significant, because if you think about it, it's going to take 10 seconds to do 160 damage, which is not even that much, to be honest. So yeah, the weapons themselves are fun to use, but keep in mind this build is not focused on using the weapons. I just like to use them occasionally to keep the fights interesting. But again, he made a massive mistake there by trying to get me with the Umbral lamp, allowing me to hit him with a javelin. It didn't kill him straight away, funny enough, but it did enough damage that allowed me to finish him off using the pickaxes. He does another Umbral, and again, because of the lag, you just get hit randomly. I managed to get him with the eyes. I was trying to play without the lock. I try to do that quite a lot, because it's cool for casting like this and to get the sweet victory. GG, my friend, that was a good fight. As for the next one, now this guy, unfortunately for him, he didn't realize that he just started smashing that R1 button straight away, and then he casted some judgments, as you can see, some piercing lights. I decided to go down because when you are next to enemies, the Orion's judgment will not always lock onto you. It will lock onto other enemies, which is kind of a fail-safe if you are an invader. As you can see, the Orion's judgment was hitting the enemies instead of following me. So there's a tip for you invaders out there. Now, because he was casting spells from up above, he's got the upper hand because he's got the high ground. I was trying to get him with the javelin from a weird angle, which I did manage to get him. And as you can see, he goes into Umbral. I'm trying to cast from behind this barrier, but the barrier unfortunately is not doing a very good job at protecting me. But he's got more than just me to deal with. He's got the other pilgrims casting holy spells at him, but I do manage finally hit him with the second javelin, and I get the sweet win. GG, my friend. As for the next one, I invaded these two guys. I immediately tried to get rid of the co-op guy, which I did straight away. I don't think he even realized what I was. This guy casted the blessed illusions on me, which I managed to dodge. He casts it a second time, which I managed to dodge again, because you guys probably know by now that if that thing hits, you are most likely going to get one shot. That javelin, however, was very weird because I think there was a bit of lag going on, and he got hit by the splash. Now, as for these two guys, this was actually funny because when I invaded, I thought, okay, they're going to do honorable duels. They're going to try to fight me 1 versus 1, but that wasn't the case. They both came for me straight away, which is fine. As you can see, I got pushed by a lamp and by whatever lag is going on. Unfortunately, connection is what it is. There's not much I can do about it. But the moment I managed to get myself up, I tried to get rid of one of them, which I did. The co-op guy got hit little did I know that with the same spell I managed to hit the host as well, and I one-shot both of them with the same cast of Umbral magic. Now I tried to retaliate to keep him at bay just for long enough to get back on my feet. I don't know what he was trying to do there. Maybe he was just trying to run away or hide. It didn't go so well, as you can see. GG, my friend. As for the next one, which is going to be the last, this is a good example of trying to free aim, which I managed to fail, but this guy casts the Blessed Reflections. I managed to dodge. He then tries to cast the Destructive Beam, as I like to call it, but then the co-op guy, I don't really know what he was trying to do here. He gets one shot by the Umbral Eyes, leaving me and the host to duo on our own. He now is no longer playing that aggressively. You can see that maybe he realized I was not going to be that easy to kill, so he started playing a bit more patiently. As you saw, the free cast of the Umbral Eyes on the floor just did the job. I managed to get him into Umbral stage. I tried to free cast that on the floor to hit him with the splash. Unfortunately I missed, but then the second cast nearly got the job done, but because I nearly died, I decided to take a step back myself, refocus, and try to free aim, which I nearly got him with that one. But then again, the free aiming of the casting the Umbral Barrage is that you will often trick your enemies into thinking that you are aiming at them, and they roll forward, and then they realize too late that you are actually casting to the floor in front of you. But he gets too close to the wall and I finish him off. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't just yet. Leave a like or any comments down below. I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio!